Salutations, everyone. Faith is a substance, and I'm here once again. I'm doing a video because today is the last day of Pride Month, and so I wanted to set up a panel discussion with a couple of people that were willing to attend this. So I do appreciate them coming through. And one of them is my cousin Richard Days the second, and
The
also
third.
the third. Excuse me, the third.
It's okay. It's okay. Rich will do. Rich will do.
And also Rollon Rebel, a friend of mine. And so we're going to get more into
Thank you.
what it means to them, and also just getting more into how the community is still, has controversy attached to it. And we're going to get into some reaction videos and all that good stuff. So without further ado, here goes Richard and Rollon Rebel. How you guys doing?
Can't complain, man.
Good,
I'm here.
good.
I'm
How are
doing
you
good.
today?
All right. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys for coming on.
Not
So,
a problem.
happy Pride Month is the last day of Pride Month. So, what does that mean? What does that mean for y'all Pride Month, and and how that all started?
Rich, you
I
can
get.
go first.
All right. Well, I guess for me, it just means accepting who you are and accepting that you're part of something bigger than you or whatever. Because in our community, a lot of us have what's called our given family or family that you're born into or adopted into. And then in our community in particular, you have what's called chosen family, meaning like friends, associates, people that you were in the trenches with, so to speak, or whatever. So that's what pride represents to me in a nutshell. And it's, I guess, a little history on it. It came from the Stonewall Uprising, which happened in 1968. I wasn't around yet, but a couple of years after, but we're not gonna get into that. But but all seriousness, it pride came from the whole Stonewall uprising. I read up on it in the last few years, so I'm still learning certain aspects of like gay history and gay culture. Never stop learning. But I know one of the key people in that fight was I believe she was either trans or drag queen. Her name was Marsha P. Johnson. And her, along with a lot of other black and brown drag or transgender individuals, they were key in the whole Stonewall uprising because they got tired of being mistreated by the cops, and they got tired of living in an environment that you had to censor yourself. You had to watch how you spoke. You had to watch your mannerisms. Especially in the late '60s. And being transgender and a drag queen is difficult now. It was way more difficult back then because of the law and just because of the culture and the climate in the late '60s. I wasn't alive in the '60s, but I've heard enough stories. So from the Stonewall riots, Pride was born, and then it evolved into the parade and different organizations like ACT UP, and Pride was around during the AIDS epidemic, which affected a lot of gay and trans people. And I've heard a lot of stories from gay elders, and how they lost a lot of friends, partners, family because of the AIDS crisis, and in the hospitals, particularly in New York. It was like this all over the country, but I know from New York, it was like,
And we're going to get more into that, Rich. Mhm.
okay,
For for me, pride means or gay to me means being authentically who you are. We really don't talk about what it means to be black and gay and other complexities that comes with it. So just being authentically who you are. And for clarification, pride was started from lesbians. It's the L and the LGBT that doesn't get the credit that it deserves.
Oh,
Okay.
I didn't
All
know.
right.
Oh,
Cool.
thank you. I didn't know that. Yeah,
I'm always willing to learn.
because I do think that pride is also for represents a lot of bravery among you. Because I think you still have to maintain that. But I also, before we get more into that, I want to get a little bit more background from you. Start with you, Rich. Where you from and just your upbringing. Give me a little bit of backstory.
Well, I'm a native New Yorker. I grew up in Harlem, and I also grew up in Brooklyn, Marlboro houses. I grew up with my grandmother, and I grew up with my aunt. So I was back and forth between Harlem and Brooklyn my entire childhood. So both of those environments were predominantly black and brown. And growing up in those environments were great, but it's like looking back at it now, it's like it wasn't. I'm not gonna say it was a bad environment because everywhere you go got good and bad. But growing up black and then realizing that I was different or whatever, it wasn't an easy experience. And I was just grateful that I was fortunate enough that I had my grandmother, and since like homophobic attitudes and behavior wasn't taught in my house, when I saw it in the world, it was like I knew that it was wrong, and I knew that it was wrong, and I also had to come to terms with who I was at an early age, as a man, as a black man, and later on as a gay black man, all that different things.
Right,
And it's like all those things run together, but then they also stand on their own. Because growing up, before I even came out or acknowledged who I was, it was like in a lot of ways, I felt like I wasn't black enough. I wasn't dark enough. I
right,
wasn't man enough. I
right.
wasn't hood enough.
Mm,
And it was like all those things happen at the same time.
okay.
And it was like,
All the self doubt.
yeah. And then so it's like like going to school or just walking through the neighborhood, and it's like, okay, but I go through everything y'all go through. I
Right,
live how like y'all live, so why am I the outsider? But
right,
then what I did in my teens was the thing that I didn't like became the thing that I embraced. And once I embraced it, it was like before I came out or before I admitted who I really was to myself or whatever, I was just on some, well, you know what? Either you gonna mess with me or you not.
right.
And if you mess with me, cool. If you don't, cool, just don't get in my way.
Got duly noted. Yeah, all right, Tom.
For me, I am from St. Louis. I'm the youngest of three. I have an older sister and a deceased brother who died about 5 years ago. I found out I've had a long journey into the community. Um, I wrote a book about it, which we'll talk about later because I know you'll ask me about it. But how I got to my determination that I was gay, I was molested when I was
Oh
14.
wow. Sorry to
Um,
hear that, man.
so that played a part in who I was, but I also was a little bit different for other reasons. Um, I was born with cerebral palsy. I have a disability. So being black, gay, and disabled are different things. So you have to be bigger, better
Yeah,
than
you a triple
every
threat. Yeah, you're a triple threat, Tony.
to
You're
do
the trifecta, so to speak.
Yeah,
right. So it was more of the I have to be the first tester of everything. Going to school with people that are able bodied, it was always the thing that you're gonna get tried or you're being pitied or you're this or you're that. You don't look this way. So it just was a shaper for my personality. Along the way, I didn't know who my dad was. Well, I knew of him, but to be rejected by my dad because of being disabled, and then later on discovering that I'm
mm,
disabled, um, was something that was that I had to learn to be my own man. I had to have the definition of what it meant to be a man on my own. Even though I had an older brother who was grown at that point, but he didn't understand what it was like for me to be black, gay, and disabled. So we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, okay.
So, Rich, give me your coming out story.
My coming out story. It basically was a 2 year experience between 2004 and 2006, and it was like basically a lot of my friends or associates knew that I was gay, but not the family, or so I thought. So, I first came out to a couple of my siblings, and then through various conversations and situations, one of my siblings that I came out to, he outed me to the family. So,
Wow. How did I
and
make you feel? I mean, I'm sorry. I want to just bookmark that real quick because I really need to know. First off, when you first came out to whoever you to your siblings, how would they respond, and then how did you feel about them taking that from you, taking that opportunity for you to out, come out?
well, the first person I told was one of my sisters, and she took it in stride, you know. And then I came out to one of my brothers, and he had a mixed reaction, and we had some conversations about it or whatever, and I was able to move on because I was like, well, you know what, you know, to each his own. I don't have time to convince or whatever. And then what ended up happening in the midst of all these different conversations or whatever, he ended up telling the rest of the family. So by the time it got to me, um, I don't know what was expected on his end, but it actually worked in my favor because while I didn't appreciate the fact that he told my story before I could, but at the same time, it cleared the air and I guess it leveled the playing field because now I'm like, okay, well, you know what? The cat's out the bag now. So my thing was, and is to this day, is like, it's like what I said earlier is like, either you gonna rock with me or you not. And if you rock with me, cool. And if you don't rock with me, leave me alone.
Absolutely. So, how did your family react to it? How did they receive you after that? 'Cause
Um, it
did you
was like nothing really changed. It was like overall, it was a good experience. It was like, and it was an experience that because I was terrified because every time you got to reveal that part of yourself to somebody, it's like you're always in the back of your head, like, oh, are they going to look at me the same? Are they still going to want to interact with me or whatever? And it creates a small element of fear, but
absolutely.
it also, for me, at least for me, it creates an element of, okay, well, you know what? We here now. It's no turning back. But overall, yourself included, the family really didn't have a problem with it. It really didn't change anything. I mean, there were like subtle changes and subtle differences, but nothing that's like earth shattering.
Okay.
And I'm fortunate for that because like what's your name again?
Tony. Mhm.
Tony, I'm sorry. Like Tony said, it's like, and even what I'll say or have said and stuff like that. Not everybody growing up black, gay, and disabled, and all these other different things. Not everybody that comes from our communities or comes from our experience gets that warm or overall accepting acceptance. Because I know a lot of people where they were disowned by their families, they
Mhm.
were disowned by their friends. Some even lost their jobs or careers or
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm fortunate that I didn't have to go through that. And there were people in my life that once they found out I was gay, they distanced themselves from me, or they just stopped speaking to me altogether. And how I took it was, and how I still take it to this day, is that, well, if that's all it took for you to not deal with me,
They were
then
being in your life in the
then
first place.
yeah, exactly, you weren't real.
Mm,
Because my thing is, I've had people come to me and tell me certain things or whatever, or reveal who they really are, this, that, and the third. My thing is, if I rock with you, I rock with you. None of all that other stuff is incidental. My thing is, as long as you respect yourself, you respect others, and respect who you're dealing with, live your life, man. Live your truth, because we,
absolutely.
we we all deserve that.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing your story, Rich. Tony, can you share your coming out story?
Mine is a little bit embarrassing. I it's funny now.
You was
I
on the
act
6 o'clock news.
no. I
I'm just
actually
messing with you, man. I'm just messing with you.
yeah. I actually got caught in the act.
Well, yeah, that'll do it. That'll
Um,
definitely do it.
I got caught in the act by
Just so you know, Rich, I gotta tell you, Tony a hoe. All right, go ahead.
what
She said it, not me, man. I just met you.
you'll understand why she said it later. Um, I got
Oh my god.
yeah, I got caught in the act.
Okay.
Um, and I got caught in the act by my niece. And what's funny to
You
what
said your niece or your priest?
my niece,
Oh,
Oh,
Rich,
okay.
oh my goodness.
I
Not
just
the,
I just wanted to make sure because I couldn't hear him. Sorry about that. Continue. My fault.
um, and it's funny now, but then it was kind of like, okay, I got some on you. When I'm mad, you can be every faggot in the world and all of this other stuff. And it's
Ooh.
kind of like, okay, but you have things going on in your life, but I'm the F word. So, it's that's how it became a conversation of, the whispers. Is he doing this? Is he doing that? Is he okay? Is he safe? He's gonna get HIV and things like that. So it's kind of
things. Mm.
Hmm.
it was kind of an eye opening experience for me that this is what you're going to get. It's it's still
So,
kind of hurtful, but
yes,
at this point, it is what it is.
right.
And as you'll find out later on, I took my pain and turned it into profit. So
Absolutely. That's
Okay.
what you're supposed to do. But, turning your pain into profit is one thing, but make sure you're healing from that pain as well. Process it and heal, before you profit. You don't want the former to become the latter. You know what I'm
thank
saying?
you for saying that.
Yeah, yeah.
And to reiterate that, I am in therapy to heal
That's
from
good,
that,
man.
and I
That's
am
good.
a therapist. What that's
Right,
the healing part.
right. Mm,
Wow. Okay. I hear
So
that.
so having the duality of helping other people to come through their trauma of healing and telling their parents, and then going through it yourself makes me what we call a hero. So I just it's it's funny when I tell that story because I know that I helped someone else come through their story.
and
But at
yeah,
the time, it wasn't funny.
Okay.
right. Understandable. So let me ask you guys this, all right? Because I just because it's this whole the sexuality piece is so multi-layered here, right? Because I want you guys to get your perspective on whether or not you feel like someone is born into this or this is a choice, because that's always been a constant debate, right? And it's like multiple question, so just bookmark that, please. And also, do you believe that you can acquire um, gayness through trauma, or like what Tony mentioned about the essay, that he wrote.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, do you think that you are gay by circumstance? Okay, or can it be like a situation where you experience something traumatic and you feel like you could, kind of explore that, and is it possible for you to switch back once you feel like it's not for you? I'm just trying to figure that out, and I'm gonna ask something else, but I'm gonna leave it there for now.
I'll go ahead and go first.
Go ahead.
Um, I believe that it could be a little bit of both. You could know, because some people have said, I've known I was gay since I was 2 years old, and sometimes it can be people that have experiences that says, well, this was a determinant factor. So it could be a little bit of both.
Okay.
Um, I've heard of individuals that say, well, I don't know if I'm gay, but I've tried it a couple of times and I don't like it, or I've tried it and I liked it. So it just depends on circumstance and who you are around in the environment. To me,
Okay.
what you think, Rich?
I mean, I've heard the perspective of I was born this way, and I've also heard the perspective that like I'll say this. Me personally is like I don't know if I was necessarily born this way, but I'm not going to rule that out because who am I to say? I will say for my own personal experience that by the time I was in like my early teens, I said the way I would look at girls was the way that I would look at guys. And once I acknowledged that to myself, it was like once you admit it to yourself, you can't go back. And then it just became a situation of okay, I wasn't in a position where I could explore that because I wasn't looking for it. I damn sure wasn't going to look for it because I grew up in the '70s and '80s, so I was like, I wasn't trying to catch those hands. I wasn't trying to go through that because I knew people that went through. You understand what I'm saying? So it was like it was terrifying. So I said, okay, let me try to just keep that tucked in. And then by the time I got to my early 20s and hanging out and seeing what's out there, I was like, okay, you know, it wasn't so bad. But I know because that's my personal experience, everybody else's experience is different. Because, like I said, I know people that were assaulted, raped, molested, whether it was by family, a friend of the family, or uh, a religious person, figure, or whatever. Hold on. And it was just, so everybody's experience is different and everybody deals with their experience different. But I know for me, it was just the the overall factor was before I could expect anybody else to accept me, I have to accept myself. And that wasn't easy, because on the other hand, it's like, okay, well, this is who I am. Cool. But then on the other side of that is like, you hear your boys talk about, oh, you ain't man enough. Man ain't supposed to be with another man. Man's supposed to do this. A black man's supposed to do this. And you're hearing all this and you're seeing all this. And it's like, okay, but you're not really doing anything that matters. So how am I the problem?
Right.
How are gay dudes the problem?
The problem is them, Rich. The problem is them.
I knew that already, but it's just to get to that point of
Right.
acceptance and understanding. That's what I had to get to that point from an early age. So it
Right.
was just like it was conflicting, but after a while, I was like, well, you know what? I know who I am, and I know who I'm not. So
So let me ask you. So bottom line, do you believe that someone could be gay by circumstance based on trauma? Do you think that would?
that's possible. That's possible because especially if you go through something so traumatic at an early age, it's
Right.
like you don't really have enough information or
Right.
experience to
Right.
make an informed decision.
Right.
So it's like if you go through something like that, you
That's
know,
because you're a product of that. That's all you know. That's all you're familiar with.
yeah, yeah. Now that's not to say that those individuals couldn't have gotten there on their own, but
Right.
it definitely plays a part.
Oh, right. So let me ask you guys this. Like for me personally, like if because there's men out there that mentioned how there was a time in their lives where they had experienced an encounter with a man They totally straight now, totally straight, and they experience an encounter with a man, one and done, never again. What happened? And for me, and it's like, okay, well, I know some people might say that, that may be true, that it may be one and done, but I'm just wondering, like, what made you explore it in the first place? And for me, if I find that out, I'm honest with you, I don't see myself dating that person. We can have a friendship, but I don't see myself dating that person, because if you allow yourself to go that far with it, that far, in that encounter with another man, whether or not he did the bending. I mean, I'm just saying, like, to me, I feel like it will happen again. So, what is your take on that?
I did, I somewhat disagree with that
Okay.
because there is a difference and a kind of, what's the word for it? Association with gender identity and sexual identity. You can know who you are. You can be biologically male or biologically female, and then decide one day I don't want to be that, or I want to be this. And just like you can decide, oh, I want to lick on a boob, or I want to do whatever. Just exploring yourself because you're figuring yourself out. At puberty, you don't say I like girls. You try it, you may not like it, and that's okay. But I feel like, and this could be specifically with people that are not in the community, girls can try things with other girls, but
Right.
guys can't try things
Yeah, it's
with
a double
guys.
standard.
There is a double standard. I will give you that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. And but you know what? But I also feel like, even though it's a double standard, but it's kind of different in a way, because that's what I'm saying. When a man, it's there's an insertion process, there's penetration involved. So it's like, if you
It's, I mean,
straight though, I mean,
I hear what Tone is saying. I'll say that I have a good amount of straight friends and stuff like that, and having had girlfriends or lived quote unquote straight or whatever, I feel that if you're a straight man and you know that that's it, you're never gonna go any further or whatever. I personally feel like a straight man is not going to even entertain anything like that
why would they
because
do that in the first place, though, Rich? I mean, why would they do that in the first place? I'm
yeah,
just
and because I look at it like this, it's like I've heard and I've met guys that were quote unquote straight, but then they experimented with guys, or it it's like look at the whole DL phenomenon for an example and stuff like that. It basically is a quote unquote supposedly straight dude with a wife or girlfriend, kids, but he sleeps with guys, knowing sleeps with guys, knowing that he's going back home to said wife or said girlfriend and said kids. And my thing is no judgment, but it's like, and you have DL in all cultures, but I'm talking about all culture right now. And it's like the rationale for that is okay, I'm still a man because I have a wife or I have a kid. And what me and my dudes do, that's just what it is. And I'm like, okay, if once it gets to a point where it's beyond the thought process or just curiosity and you're actually acting upon it or whatever, then you're something more, then you're something aside from straight. Because like I said before, a straight guy is not even going to entertain like anything like that. A straight guy is not even going to think about it or fantasize about it or whatever. So if this is something that you explored, obviously there's something more about you that you may or may not know or fully understand or whatever. And it's okay. And I also accept the fact that you do have bisexual men that have girlfriends and boyfriends and everybody's aware. I think that's great because
it's all yeah,
I do believe that sexuality is fluid, but it
yeah.
depends on the individual. It depends on your individual wants, needs, desires, or whatever. And you do have guys that just like, look, I just want to be with women. That's it. Also have guys that just want to be with men, and that's it. And then you have the bisexual guys that can do both.
Right.
And then you have the DL guys. With the DL guys, it's like when you strip away the physical aspects or whatever, what what that basically means is that that individual has some type of internal conflict because you're not ready to get to the point where you could acknowledge, look, I'm gay, I'm into dudes or whatever, and rather than just have that internal
Yeah. Mhm.
conflict or acceptance or whatever, you have a good amount of men that go back and forth because it's safe. And to the rest of the world at large, oh, he has a wife, he has kids, he can't be gay. Yeah, all right. But
But I think it's because of that rationale, especially in our community, that oh, if he's tried it, and that's it. But other communities don't have that problem. We put so much emphasis on what someone does, because if that's the case, if you picked up a cigarette, you're a crackhead. But that's that's not it. But why do people not let other people explore without putting labels on things? Our culture doesn't make it safe for people to explore things without putting judgment on it. I think that's the problem.
that's true. That's true because you know what it is in our community as a whole. It's a lot of unfair judgment and stereotyping and expectations, and it's like that could affect anybody differently. It's like you have some dudes that be like, well, you know what? I'm just gonna be who I am, and then you have some people that either they repress it and it comes out later, or it comes out in different ways because you can look at a good amount of straight relationships, and you can look at the amount of, I guess, physical abuse or sexual abuse or any type of abuse for that matter. And in some situations, when everything's on the table, you'll realize that, okay, the guy was gay and he was suppressing it and it came out in other ways.
Case
And
case in point, there could be. Let's throw a celebrity out there, a straight male celebrity,
okay,
and let's just say a Morris Chestnut decides he wants to come out as gay.
Oh, please don't jinx that. Please don't put that out
No, no, I'm
I
there.
get I get where
see,
he's going though.
but
People are chestnut.
that's my point. If he came out and said that
Oh
he's
man.
gay,
Oh, it was shut down. That
Oh,
was shut down the internet.
oh my God.
and
And,
and
and,
people
and, and
and people will be like, you're gay, and still have no problem with it. But if he was ugly or not as aesthetically pleasing, not ugly, aesthetically pleasing, they would dog that person out and drag.
that's true. That's true. And the thing about it, it's like that would happen. And then also, you'd have a lot of, I'm not gonna say a lot of, you'd have a good amount of black women and or gay black men that would be like, he's gay. It could either be like, oh yeah, he's gay, yeah, or you'd be like, he's gay.
Uh,
It could go either way. It could go either way depending on the person or whatever. But it's like it's like.
wish there was more honesty in it because I just feel like we're at this thing where it's just be honest about it. Like I don't have any respect for those who are DL, to be honest with you, because
Okay.
I feel like, you could come out whenever you're ready. Nobody can tell you when, but don't make that a situation at the expense of someone else. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, that's the part I can't respect either because like it's like you want to do your
right.
thing,
Be
but
honest.
then don't have any other attachments like a wife, a girlfriend, kids, because then you're destroying a whole family, you're destroying lives because you can't come to terms with who you are as a man. It's like I've never agreed with that. I've never liked it. It happens,
Yeah,
so be it, but it's not cool
right.
because
Although,
you're
although
impacting
I
other lives.
It's cowardice to me. Yeah. Mhm.
although I understand that again, there's the safety part of it. If men felt like I wouldn't be able to see my kids if I came out as gay, I wouldn't be able to do this if I came out as gay. I would lose my job if I came out as gay. So there are these factors. But then you have people that are, I just don't care. There's a
Yeah,
difference.
yeah,
We have to distinguish that early on.
that's
So I
true.
get
No, you're
so I
right. You're
get
right.
what you're saying.
All those factor in. You're right.
So I get what you're saying, but let's put that 10% or that 15% of people in that box. But that 10 or 15% of people make a whole community be a snap judgment. Now let's just say this. You and I are both gay. So
Right.
there is a set of guys that will look at you and say, "Oh, you're attractive and I want to date you." But then there are other set of guys that say, "Oh, he's too old. He's this. He's that. I don't want to date him because he has to look this way. He has to have muscles. He has to have a big butt. He needs to have a big penis. He has to do this." That causes a distinguishment and a problem too. We put these things out. Well, I prefer you to be this way. This is my preference. But the thing is, are you the thing that you're preferring? Would your preference prefer you?
Okay.
Valid point.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. Because I've throughout my experiences and stuff like that, is like it runs the gamut because from my own in particular, um, even being gay and stuff like that, I wasn't black enough. I wasn't hood enough. I wasn't dark enough. I wasn't all these different check boxes or checklists or whatever. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I grew up like this, and now I'm a part of this community, and I still have to deal with it. And
Mhm.
it's like, so coming from that perspective, I just looked at it as it's like, okay, well, you know what? It just taught me discernment,
Absolutely. And I
you
think,
know?
um, so let me ask you this, Rich. He probably, he'll come back up. Uh,
Okay.
cause it's so hard. Like when it comes to I want to get more into the divisiveness because the divisiveness when it comes to the community, it doesn't just come from the heterosexual community. It also is among you guys. So I wonder, how do you deal with the division of the community? And
How I've dealt with it is that okay, is like the times that I was single and in between relationships or whatever, it's like especially after I came out and went through all of that, it's like I know who I am and I know who I'm not. And I know certain things I'm just not gonna put up with. And it's like getting into the world of online dating or all these different sub communities within the gay community or whatever. It's like I don't want to fit a certain stereotype or I don't want to check off boxes. My thing is if we're going to deal with each other, we're going to deal with each other. And it's like if you have a problem, because I've had guys get mad at me because they felt they basically wanted me to be like a caveman or Neanderthal. I'm like, what you want me to beat you and club you over the head and drag you up the block? I'm like, I'm not that type of person. He's like, I'm a respectable dude, but it's like a lot of our own. They look at me like, oh, he's not man off. Like they want me to be like a 50 Cent or something they saw in a hip hop video from the 90s, and then it's like, okay, I might dress like that, I might even come from that, but I'm not that. You understand what I'm saying?
right, right, they want that masculine vote. They want that masculine.
Yeah, and,
Yeah,
and and I'm
yeah,
a firm believer that there's more than one way to be masculine, and you can be masculine without being toxic
right.
or
But you,
or whatever. But it's like a lot of us
yeah,
gay black men, they want the toxic. or they want the hyper masculine dude or the alpha male or whatever, and it's like,
Women and gay men,
really?
right? It's so funny how gay men and straight women have the same type of, a lot of things align, when
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think
yeah,
that's the problem. Our community develops these heteronormative concepts of what they want the relationship to look like.
Right.
If you are the top, you're supposed to be this. If you are the bottom, you're supposed to be this. Instead of just being who you are. If you're
Yeah,
my if
mm,
if you're my man, we're gonna do this together. If you're my whatever you are, we're gonna do this.
yeah, so
Every relationship
yeah,
is not gonna mirror that.
right, yeah. So that was accurate, right? Top, bottom, is that accurate?
yeah. You have top, you have bottom, you have verse.
I'm saying like I'm talking about like the reference I use. This top, bottom.
Give or take, give or take, give or
Give or
take.
take.
You're in the ballpark.
And
There's a lot
then
more to it, but that's the basic gist.
I'm messing with y'all.
No, I know, I know, I know, I know.
right.
But it's like to go up to add to what he said. It's like I've had guys get mad at me simply because I know how to articulate myself.
Ah,
Like, well, I had a mom and I went to school,
right.
so
It's
that's
like
what I think everybody should have did that. And I know everybody's experience is different, and I don't have a problem with that. But then when you're met, it's like I've always been an accepting individual. It's like my thing is, as long as you're not hurting yourself and you're not hurting me or
and
others,
right.
have at it. But
Mm-hmm.
everybody, I know because I think like that, everybody's not going to think like that. And that was a lot of the problems that I faced dating or just being in the gay black community at large, because it's like what we all said earlier. It's like you're expected to be a walking, talking stereotype. And I'm like, no, it's like we could do we could be better than that. We could be different than that. It's like everybody's not going to be this hyper masculine or whatever you want to call it. And it's like
Right, or
there's
extremely
nothing wrong with
brilliant. Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's not gonna be like super feminine, effeminate or
Right,
whatever, because there's nothing wrong with those things. There's
right.
nothing wrong with being masculine. There's nothing wrong with being feminine, because every man, whether he wants to admit it or not, straight, gay, or whatever, every man has feminine attributes.
Mm,
Some
yeah,
more than others, some more obvious than others.
yes.
There's nothing wrong with that. Just like women, every female has male attributes,
Mm,
masculine energy.
mm,
Some, again, some more than others, some more obvious than others. And again, it's cool. But I think in our community, it's like, especially from us men, it's like, I don't know if you went through it, Tone, or whatever, but I know it was like just walking through New York is like you're expected to act a certain way,
mm-hmm.
talk a certain
Mm-hmm.
way. And it's like, it was like that when I was going out with girls, and then the end up going out with guys. And in some ways, it was worse because now it's like man on man. And I'm like, really?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think I don't know why y'all still viewed as subhuman or something. I don't know. Maybe I mean, do they still see us as aliens? Human,
Depending on who you talk to.
right? Because it used to be in the '70s, homosexuality used to be a mental illness. You
Mm-hmm.
remember?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like, but it's like I wonder if they truly believe that because you a gay man and that's still a man, that's still men,
Oh,
and they still
I mean,
yeah, that's still human.
the stuff that the stuff that I've heard, depending on where you come from or your cultural background or whatever, but just black men at large or whatever. I've heard that, oh, a man is not a man if he's not having sex with a woman. A
Right.
man is not a man if he's not having kids or whatever. So I said, okay, so me sleeping with a guy is an issue, but you can have a kid in every borough, a
Yeah,
woman at every borough.
being a
And
judge.
on top of that, you're not supporting these kids. You're
Yeah,
not supporting these women or respecting these women, treating these women right. But I'm gonna just say it. but I'm somehow I'm the bitch.
You the Antichrist. Yeah, you're the one. Yeah, it's you.
Have at it, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
Have at it. Have at it.
Absolutely.
And I've had these conversations throughout my life, like people that I work with, people that I've hung out with, and I'm like, dude, there's no one way or wrong way to be a man, whether you're gay or straight. You know, before you're gay, before you're your sexuality or whatever, or your lifestyle choices or whatever,
You
you're
were
a
just
man.
you and you, right? You're a
Yeah.
human. It's gonna be fine.
And it's like, yeah, and it's like my thing is you got straight guys out there that don't want to have kids or don't want to be married. That doesn't make them gay. That makes them okay. Maybe these aren't the things that I want for my individual life, and that's fine.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Rich, because that's another issue, and especially within the church. We're going to talk about that in a little while. But they talk about how, being gay, the gay lifestyle, it does affect, the ability to, keep reproducing, keep producing children. So, and, growing families. So that's a barrier that,
But the thing about that, even with that, it's like you can be gay and have a family because you could do artificial insemination or in vitro. You could
Mhm.
adopt.
mhm.
And it's like you have a lot of gay couples that adopt,
Yes,
or in certain situations, they might have a sibling that have lost their children and they end up adopting the children and raising them as their own. So it's like you do have a good amount of gay black men that want to be in a relationship and settle down and have families or whatever. And then you have the ones that don't. Again, it's all good, but it's like society and community will tell you that, oh, if you don't do it like this, then you're not this. And it's like, it's all bullshit at the end of the day.
right.
But going back to the church part, and to give a little bit of my background, still some more. Um, my mother became a Jehovah's Witness, so for the first part of
Uh,
my life, a lot of people didn't know that
Okay.
I was Jehovah's Witness. So that brings another
Oh,
layer.
wow. Okay.
That brings another layer because I'm not, like I said earlier when we first started, I wasn't being authentically myself. I still was trying to figure out who I was at that young age. So that it kind of
Okay.
brings out the the thought of, if you decide this, you're going to hell. If you do
right.
this, you're going to hell. This is
Mhm.
a representation of me. Luckily, I just came to the point of, and unfortunately, this is sad. We know what you are, but we just not gonna talk about
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. But so let me ask you, because I know you mentioned about dating women. So you dipped into lady pond, Rich?
Huh?
You dipped into lady pond?
I did. That's an eloquent way of putting it, but yeah,
it.
yeah,
So have I,
How-
unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. It was like
You too?
I don't. Let me go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, Tony, you also did you dip into lady pond? Tony?
I have.
Oh,
Ain't nothing wrong with it, brother. Ain't nothing wrong with it, man.
do
Eh,
tell.
a lot of us started out like that.
Yeah, do tell. So how did it? Okay, so I want to get more of this because yeah, I gotta hear this one. I gotta get more of this. And how did you make the transition? How did you figure out? Okay, this is not where I want to be. So yeah, go.
It was like my physical experiences with women were great and stuff like that, but it was like every woman that I dealt with on a physical level, it was like it was great, but it didn't feel like home to me.
Mm,
And it was like, okay. And after a while, it was like once I started dating men and dealing with men, it's like I couldn't date a woman knowing that I've already been with men and that I want to be with a man. You know, I want my life to be with a man. It's not like that. It's like I didn't want that from a woman, and nothing against women, you know. And but it was just like going through those experiences. I learned early that okay, this ain't for me, you know. And it was like I didn't do the bisexual thing. I didn't do the DL thing. I just made a choice in my early 20s. Okay, this is who I am. and this is how I'm going to live my life. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's like, this is what it is. And it's like, and each time I was like single, and I tried to date a female or whatever, it's like I always ended up going back to dating guys. So I just made the choice. I was like, I'm not going to date another female, because it's like, I personally felt like it wouldn't be fair to her, because I'm doing her a disservice, because she's probably a good woman, a beautiful woman inside and out. And who am I to play
Tarnish.
with that? You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't want that done to me.
I totally respect that.
So it was like, and it wasn't easy, because I'm still in the back of my head. It's like, oh, but you're a man. You're supposed to be with women. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do this. But then it's like, I just couldn't subscribe to all that, because I've always prided myself on being my best authentic self. I'm not perfect. I've fallen short of glory, but it's like, I want to be my best authentic self. And how can I expect that of others, and I'm not doing that myself? So it was just like, that helped me, I guess, choose the team and stick with it, so to speak. you know.
Yeah. Yep.
But
And
but what I will say, bringing up the female aspect or whatever, it's like, throughout my whole life, then and now, women have been some of my biggest allies.
I
You
can
know,
I can see that.
and it's like, and I've always appreciated that. And that's never been lost on me, and I don't take that lightly. And because it's like, wow, like female teachers that I've had, even some of the school safety officers and stuff like that. And it was like, a lot of the other women in the family and stuff like that, a lot of my female friends or whatever. And it's like, wow. So it's like, so I don't take that lightly. And then it's like, that was one of the reasons why I was like, okay, I can't do this, because I'm not trying to hurt nobody, you know?
Yep, I respect that totally. Thank you so much for sharing that. Tony, what?
For me, I fully discovered that when I broke free in college and it was on my own, that this wasn't for me, that I fully wanted to be gay because my experience with women, I dated my best friend that I've known since I was like 5 years old.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
at a point, she was like, "Well, I know who you are, so just come on out." And so she followed me through college because we went to college together,
You
and
said Baruch?
to college.
Okay.
And so she saw the evolution of me as a gay man, but us having our experience and still not judging me after that made the experience better. Like Rich said, women have been my biggest allies, but also my biggest adversaries. So it depends on who you talk to and the relationship that you have. At least for me, um, how the experience turned out.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do, I'm going to remember I mentioned this video that I'm gonna share with you guys, and it's from a channel called What Do the Scriptures Say? That's the name of the YouTube channel. And the person that runs that channel, his name is Pastor Rod, and he's very biblical. And he's very radical about his message. And so I just want to give you the heads up on that. And just the same way that he's able to put forth his views on things, I think you should be able to receive it as well. I really want to hear your insights. So if you want me to pause, I'm going to be doing some pauses in between. But whenever time you want me to stop and pause it, so you could give your feedback, please let me know. Um,
Okay.
so I just want to get your take because, like I said, this is just give you a little bit of context to this particular clip. This video is in reference to Jamal Bryant. He preached at a church with there was a gay couple running a church, pastor and the first gentleman running
Mm-hmm.
the church, and so Pastor Rod has something to say about Jamal Bryant preaching there. So it starts there. So let me see if hopefully I can be able to do this. Let's see. Here we go. And
building unless you're talking about Jesus, the gardener from Home Depot. Because the Jesus of the Bible don't show up to co-sign rebellion, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's break this down for the folks who don't know what they're watching. This was an event hosted by the Vision Church of Atlanta, a self-proclaimed radical.
I have to stop it. I wanted to make sure that I have a little disclaimer. Fair Use Act of 1976 allows me to play this video for educational reference purposes and whatever else it says. I just wanted to put that out there as well.
Okay.
And on the words and opinions of the guest and whoever's speaking in this video is not necessarily a reflection of the faith of the substance. All right, let me go back.
Okay, please stop real quick.
No problem.
Please stop real quick. Before he even opened his mouth, I knew he was talking about visions because
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been to Visions before,
No.
but
No.
that that church is very. The phrase "come as you are" is exactly what that is.
That's like a non-denominational church, right?
Yes.
In more ways than one, yes. I heard about it.
I've heard of it. I'm not readily familiar, but I've heard rumblings on and stuff like that. I've seen things like on the internet or whatever. And I don't have a problem with it because you do have a good amount of gay black men that were raised in the church and want to maintain their faith or whatever. And if this is how they do it,
Yeah, but let me see if
why
you
knock them?
let's see if you maintain that once you what he has to say. Okay, I'm gonna go.
In fact, I have a question about you about question for you regarding this topic and a mutual friend that we have.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready to ask it.
Okay.
Inclusive ministry. Translation, they affirm sin and call it salvation, like a lot of you hypocrites watching now. And the man leading it, Bishop O.C. Allen III, a queer identified preacher, married to another man and head of an organization literally called the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries. Blasphemy. What kind of garbage is that? Let me say that again. This man ain't just in sin. He's building a movement around it. This ain't church. This is Satan's little playpen, a rainbow wrapped ministry of death. And guess who showed up
Okay.
as
Okay.
the
Okay. Okay.
guest of honor?
Okay.
I've seen enough.
Yeah. I'm not gonna be
I'm
able.
I'm over it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna be able to do it.
I'm because you're a female and a lot of people are gonna see this and stuff like that. I'm gonna censor my response. But basically, he, he can go straight to hell. I'm just gonna say it. My
And I'll counter that. How many children have you had?
and I don't even know who this dude is, but just from the little bit that I've seen, he's making the hair on my back stand up because this is what I had to grow up with, and this is what I've had to deal with.
Yeah.
Guys that think like,
That's exactly why. And I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ruffle you guys' feathers, but this is I
no,
wanted
it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. My
because
thing is,
what you take on it because like I said, this is a constant controversial fixture in the black church within the church, and and how they view the community. So I really wanted to get and I please be raw with it, please transparent. Yes, I want that.
well, with him, this dude that's talking, first and foremost, and I'm sure Tone will agree with me. He can eat a dick for the simple fact is that
He's
who are
probably
you to
already
say?
doing it. That's why he
pr-
can't.
Eh, see, we here. Um, I say that first and foremost because it's guys like him that who are you to say that okay, if you don't subscribe to the way I worship or fellowship, that is wrong. Because the people that are in other fellowships or churches or religions or whatever you want to call it could easily say the same thing about his organization. his movement. My thing is with people like that, if you don't like what people are doing outside of your peripheral view, leave them alone. I liken it to, okay, you may not like a certain song or certain type of music or a certain TV show or movie. And if you don't like it, turn it off. Simple as that. Get on with your life. Why do you already have to have a movement and then within your movement you want to destroy another movement? That's what tears us apart and stuff like that. My thing is you don't have to agree with other movements or what they say or what they believe. That's your right. But to speak so negatively and so ill just because a group of people aren't following what you believe or what you think they should believe, who the fuck are you? I
And
can't hear
the
you, cuz.
I'm sorry. I know y'all already hot, so that's why I just
and
want
the,
a
hold
little
on, hold on,
bit.
hold on.
Yeah.
And the last time I checked, the Bible says, "Come as you are."
Yeah,
Mhm.
So, with that being said, did he tell you to come with your negative views too?
that part.
Yeah, but you know they're gonna they're gonna come, they're gonna continue to come. But let's listen a little bit more. I know y'all hot right now, and that's why I say this is what I want. So yes, yes, get that, yes, get that on my channel. Yes, channel. Yes, look good looking out, y'all.
Honor. That's right. Jamal Bryant, the king of compromise, the bishop of buffoonery. He walked in like it was a victory lap, not a funeral for truth, smiling, suited, and ready to put on a show. But this ain't Netflix, brother. This is the word of God we're dealing with, and he's out here treating it like a script he can rewrite. Y'all, you got a queer bishop leading the charge, a compromised preacher backing it up, and a crowd full of spiritually starved people being fed poison with the praise break. This ain't Jesus and justice. This is judgment and fire just waiting to drop. And I'm here to burn it all the way down.
Somebody.
Like, girl, sit your raggedy ass down with that dyed beard and stuff like that. He ain't low. I sort of patch a few at the beard or whatever.
The
Yeah,
feminine,
okay. Cut it
the
out, bro.
femininity, the femininity is spewing out.
And this is what I'm talking about right here. That he's a I don't know this dude. I've never seen him before today or whatever, but just from the little I've seen, he is a representation of self hate. That's self hatred at its worst because, and that's been one of my biggest issues and conversations among black niggas. Like I said, I
Right.
have straight friends. It's like I have straight friends that grew up in the hood like I did that move certain ways or whatever, and they're like, "Yo, Rich, you good, you good." Cause my whole attitude is, I'm saying all that to say that is, if you're comfortable with who you are, straight, gay, or whatever, you're not gonna have a problem with how another person lives their life. And if you don't agree with it, then
Right.
don't be around them.
Let me
Don't
ask.
be in that environment.
Let me ask you guys though. But what the things he's saying so far doesn't it echo like the sentiments of a lot of the people within the church?
Yeah, because the whole thing about it is like, yeah, it's like, there's no one way or wrong way to believe in God or spirituality or faith. There's no one way or no wrong way, but we've been so, it's been ingrained in our culture and our community for years that, oh, you have to be of this faith, you have to be of this religion, you have to worship God like this, you have to serve God like this. And it's like, just like there's no one way or wrong way to be gay, there's no one way or wrong way to be religious or of faith or whatever. My thing is, as long as you're treating people good and whatever congregation or fellowship you belong to, as long as you're not hurting yourself or each other, and there's a level of self-respect and mutual respect, like I said before, have at it, man. Who is this dude to sit up here and judge people because, or judge a whole group or movement because these are people that are gay but still want to have faith, still want to fellowship? Everybody deserves that.
Right. So
You
what I'm
know, there's nothing wrong with that.
absolutely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play and I'm going to fast forward some of it because it's like 27 minutes long. So I'm gonna just fast forward some parts, but I want y'all to get the key parts though. You know.
Okay.
So yes. So before I started back, Tony, you want to say something else before I started back?
I want to ask the question that I was telling you about.
Okay.
So, of course, we met through a mutual acquaintance. Looking back, do you think that that individual represented that at first?
No. No. Are you talking about? Yeah, I know you've heard to Mike. But he because he claimed to be bisexual. Is that what you mean? Like when initially identified as? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that there was a point that I don't know whether or not he wanted to fully embrace the fact that he was full on gay. Is that what you're getting into?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, he's fully embraced it now.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
usually how it starts.
He's polyamorous. So yeah, he's definitely yeah he's getting all into it. But yeah. So I'm going to
All right.
I didn't get a hug. Hug them tight. I know it's just us preachers in here and politicians, but we can hug each other. Come on, find somebody, hug them tight. All right, we got that out the way. Now let's do me a favor. Everybody stand on your feet. I want you to open your mouth and give God the biggest praise that you can find. You got more than that. Come on, preacher. Enough! Enough to be aligned. Everybody say alignment. And I'm so honored to have our voice with us. Will you stand and honor our voice? The Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant. Come on, everybody in this room.
You don't get oil by hugging your sins. You get oil by surrendering your life. You don't carry glory when you reject the very design of the God you claim to represent. Nah, buddy, don't worry about dropping the oil. You better not drop dead because you're playing with God like
I
that.
want you to
Leviticus 10:3 says, among those who are near me, I will be sanctified. What does that mean? It means set apart, holy, not queered up in rebellion and calling it revelation.
Bless the Lord. First, we honor you. We're thankful for your light and for.
Yeah, I know you was ready, Rich. That's why I said this. Wait one moment. I wanted to, I wanted to get that point out first before you said something.
Okay,
Well,
this dude, the more you show me, this dude is very problematic.
But this is nothing compared to, this is kind of the norm within this setting, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's like, okay, um, I grew up in the church more or less, but it wasn't shoved down my throat.
Right.
So it was like at an early age, I had an option to either stick with it or not. And I didn't, but I remember what I was taught and I remember how I was raised. And it's like my whole attitude is from what I remember from the Bible, the Bible teaches you to love thy neighbor as thyself and love God. And it's like I was just reading about this the other day. Homosexuality didn't even appear in the Bible until 1946.
Yeah,
So
what King James did his version. Yeah, it
yeah,
was. hmm
so before all of that, it's like there's no mention of homosexuality to condone or confirm or accept or not accept or anything like that. So what that dude is talking about, the one that's all sanctified or whatever he wants to call himself or whatever, he's speaking from a Eurocentric, man-made perspective. And that's what's corrupted the black church, the black community, the black gay community as a whole, if you ask me. It's like this Eurocentric, man-made um way of life, his way of thinking, and what he's doing. He's very divisive because he's basically saying that if you don't believe what he believes, then he can't even have a conversation. He can't even take you seriously. And I'm like, and you're supposed to be a pastor. You're supposed to be about faith and fellowship and encouragement and acknowledgement and acceptance. And you're speaking so negatively and divisive.
Yeah, so let me be devil's advocate here real quickly. Do you think that in all fairness that he's really like I said before, he's speaking from what he believes based on biblical aspect. He's speaking more Bible. That's based on his beliefs. He's speaking on Bible. So do you understand like why he may go kind of come at this whole community at this angle?
No,
Mm,
because
okay.
take it and put your sins to the forefront. Look at how many sins you committed. I bet you'll make excuses for the sins that you're committing because that's okay. That's the proper way to do things. What's so different than having a gun? What's so different than all these committing adultery and all these other things? So look at yourself before you can judge other people. You're not perfect.
That part. That part.
So you can't tell me anything.
Exactly. Because somebody like that, I would never take seriously. I'm an open-minded individual, but if your first opening words are to condemn and judge and put down, I, I'm not interested in anything you have to say after that. Because it's like we could agree to disagree, but there's a way to go about that without being disrespectful. And he's very disrespectful, and he's very condescending.
Mm,
And
mm.
I think he's a closet queen, but that's another story.
Again,
I said that
the
too.
words of our guests are not necessarily
I said that
and
too.
faith is the substance right? But I just want to get more into what Pastor Brian has to say, though. Let's hear what Pastor Brian got to say. Ah, shoot. Sorry.
To your neighbor.
Okay.
But shame is I feel bad about who I am. Shame will convince you that you are an awful girl forever. Shame makes you feel like you are what you've done. Everybody who's in this space has had to deal with pockets of shame in your life, whether it was acne as an adolescent, it was off-brand tennis shoes as a teenager, unemployment as an adult, weight gain as a woman, erectile dysfunction as a man, single while successful, divorced after being a role model, blindsided by bankruptcy, credit card that tattoo you with shame. That the enemy is not finished until he makes you live with embarrassment. Shame is counter to divine alignment. Can you imagine that no weapon formed against you will be able to prosper? The enemy hates you. The enemy hates me because he can't believe how God's love is so enduring. He loves you even after you gambled the rent money. He loves you even though you got a weakness for pornography. He loves you even after you can't kick caffeine or nicotine. He loves you even after it is that you did some stuff that you are still ashamed about in your 15, 16, and 17-year-old years. God loved the prodigal son and still has a crush on you. So people are upset when you walk in the building because they thought the information you before the foundation of the earth, and you got the nerve to be sitting here with your head down and your eyes closed. You better lift up your head, O ye gates, and be ye lifted up, so that the King of glory can come in.
So first,
Right, so I just wanted to kind of get your take because he seemed like he was more accepting. He was preaching more acceptance there.
Yeah, that's
You know?
more. His approach is more down to earth,
Mhm.
more affirming, more accepting, non-judgmental, or whatever. And he's basically saying we all fall short of glory. Nobody's an exception to that, but you can bounce back and rebound and get back on point.
So let me
There's
ask you,
nothing wrong with that.
right? Because I know you guys, y'all familiar with Pastor Brian, and him being the public figure that he is, right? I mean, you're familiar with,
I haven't. I'm not really
I
familiar
don't
with
really care
him,
for
but
him, but I like the message.
right? You like the message, right? Because reason why I asked that is because I was thinking, do you think he's a hypocrite based on his history and because him being a controversial figure himself? That's why I asked that question.
I don't really know that much about him. But from what he's saying, it's like
Right.
okay, he has a more wholesome wholesome approach, more accepting approach. And it's like if I were to join any type of fellowship or group or whatever, I'd be more inclined to join his group because at least I feel like I'd be more accepted. And his approach and his message is more like universal and everything. But this dude with the fuchsia beard, I want to hit him with a brick.
Tony, what about you, Tony?
You know, the things that I want to do to that man is ungodly. So I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Okay, I'm gonna go. We almost done, but I'm gonna go back to your boy real quick and see what he
Okay.
after that. Let me.
first, he says it's too sensitive to turn to your neighbor and say you ought to be ashamed of yourself. But now this clown flips it. Now it's okay to look at your neighbor and say, God ain't ashamed of you. Miss me with that fake reverence. You didn't want folks to speak shame because it would have exposed their sin. But now that you're spewing spiritual fairy dust, you want everybody making eye contact. Nah, player, that ain't how this works. You can't pick and choose when the room is holy. Let's break this all the way down, urban street style, shall we? The enemy hates you because God still loves you. Yeah, that's a fact. The enemy don't hate you because of love. The enemy hates you when you walk in obedience, sir. The enemy don't flinch at a sugar sweet God who understands your struggle. He trembles at a holy God who commands repentance and punishes sin. Oh, he loves you even after you've gambled the rent. Okay, and does that mean you keep gambling now that you know he's merciful? Paul said in Romans 6:1, what shall we continue in sin? Grace may abound? God forbid. Stop glorifying dysfunction and calling it a testimony, my dude. Then you got the audacity to say he loves you, even if you got a weakness for pornography. Cool story, preacher man. But where's the part where we tell people to crucify their flesh? Where's the part where we talk about Matthew 5:29, cutting off what causes you to sin? You out here putting a pillow under sin's head and tucking it in. That ain't mercy. That's murder, sir. He loves you even if you can't kick caffeine and nicotine, bro. What? What are you talking about, dude? You equating an energy drink and a pack of Newports to the sins that send people to hell? That's clown level there, boy. I tell you, that is clown level comparison. You are playing patty cake with the demons. Then you say, he still got a crush on you, had a prenatal crush on you in your mother's womb. Let me say this loud and clear, ladies and gentlemen. God don't have crushes. He's not some soft-hearted simp with a rom-com. He's not influenced with your trauma. He's not pacing heaven in butterflies over your backstory. He's holy. He's righteous. He's a consuming fire. You weren't picked because he was smitten. You were called by grace in spite of your nasty, filthy self so you could become holy. This ain't romance. This is regeneration. Stop flirting with sinners and start preaching them free. You say God is not ashamed of who you are. That is a lie. God is absolutely ashamed of sin. Isaiah 59:2. Your sins have separated you from God. Hebrews 10:26. If we go on sinning deliberately, Jamal, after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there remains no more sacrifice for sins, only a fearful expectation of judgment. This ain't a verse for Instagram reels, ladies and gentlemen. This is a warning that you might die in your rebellion. So you're too scared to have people say you ought to be ashamed, but bold enough to make them say God still got a crush on me. That's stupid. Get out of here, dude.
Yeah, I wanted to, the reason why I was saying listen closely, because, I wanted to kind of get your take on this, what he was saying, and incorporating the scripture.
How
Oh,
do I say this?
oh,
I'm just gonna say
I'm
that
sorry.
it. it I'm so over this dude. But it's like my thing is, it's one thing for you it's one thing for him to disagree with the other guy's message. That's his right. He has every right to believe what he believes, feel what he feels, or whatever. But I get I get the hint of a superiority complex or God complex, if you will,
mm-mm.
because it's like your whole angle is to tear his whole angle, in my personal opinion, is to tear down anything or anyone that doesn't align with his beliefs or what he feels or what he knows or thinks to be true. And that's very problematic.
All right, Tony.
I don't have nothing to say. My mama said if I don't have nothing to say, nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
I
Okay.
hear that.
All right, so let me stop sharing, you guys, because I see y'all just really balling up, and I don't want y'all getting me. I ain't trying to get my butt whooped right about now. So let me, but I just really wanted to, incorporate in there, because, like I said before, it's still taboo, it's still controversial within the Black church. That's why I wanted to share
Oh
that
yeah. Oh
video
yeah.
and get your. And I really appreciate you guys' raw, honest feedback.
No problem.
Yeah, so but I really appreciate this dialogue, big time. So I just want to get more of where you are right now, Rich. What's going on with you? How's everything going with your personal life, professional life? What's going on with you?
My personal and professional life are both good. I'm at a point where I just take each day as it comes, and I feel as long as I get to wake up the next day, is like that's another opportunity to make it right or get further along in my life and whatever I'm trying to do or whatever. But life is good, man. Life is good. I can't complain. It's like I could, but it's like it's not gonna get me nowhere.
All
So
right,
it's like,
listen, right.
yeah.
All right, Tony, what you got going on? You did talk about it briefly about your book. You being a mental health clinician. So yeah,
Oh,
let's.
that's dope.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my personal and professional life are on the mend, and
Okay.
you know that I've kind of had some struggles with, my mouth and being very controversial.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to get me together because I play a very important role in fixing other people's health. So now it's time to fix my own. Um, it's interesting. We met in a space where I was very different. So you've seen the ups and downs, the good and the bad, and all of that. So now I'm just in a space of getting what's owed to me, what's deserved of me.
Okay. I'm with that. I'm with that. I'm here for it. I guess to elaborate more on my situation or whatever is like I say like in the past 10 years, it's like I've done and I'm doing a lot of soul searching and just looking at everything that I've been through and everything that I want to go through, everything that I want in my life, everything that is in my life, everyone that I want in my life, everyone that is in my life. I'm just looking at the whole thing. And within that time, I've just been doing a lot of addition and subtraction.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, it's like whoever or whatever doesn't serve me, I
Right.
just leave you be. No bad blood, no hatred, no animosity, but I leave you to it. Because I've never been a dramatic person and I don't like drama. And it's like I don't want to go through anything that I don't have to go through. I don't have to put up with anything or anyone that I don't want to. So
Absolutely.
that's just where I'm at with that. And it's like, you know, you may or may not know that, I've dealt with depression and anger management my entire life. So just keeping that up front and being self-aware and not allow myself to end up in situations where that could get compromised.
Absolutely.
So that's basically what I'm on, and whatever comes with that, so be it.
To
Well
your
said.
to your point, um, and I can contribute faith to that and the people that are in my life. They've seen me at the craziest points in my life where I said earlier I took some of my pain and turned it into profit.
Okay.
Um, as Faith may know, and the reason she made that comment earlier while we were laughing, um, I wrote a book about my life and about my sexual experience being a gay black man in a wheelchair.
Okay.
So it comes with a lot of hurt, pain, anger, and turmoil of realizing that, and that's why that video of that pastor was so triggering because he represents everything that I had to face.
Of
Right.
course, I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, give me what are the names of your books? You have two, right? You have two books out.
Yeah, the titles are crazy. Don't get effed up. My fight against mess and manipulation, and the other one is um, POA, which stands for Piece of ASS.
Okay. Very
These
subtle.
these titles are very significant because um, it talks about what it means to be disabled, and
Okay.
sexuality is different for people who are disabled, and the things that they have to go through. Because most people, when you think of a person that is disabled, you think of, what's that like? And when I say this to people all the time, I wrote those books for the simple fact of a question that I got all my entire life. Um,
Okay.
what is it like for you to have sex as a person with disabilities?
That still, I mean,
Oh
say
wow.
that still works. I mean,
Yeah, I mean you know that,
yeah,
but the average person doesn't.
right.
So
They don't
I
say that.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
so I said, okay, since y'all want to be nosy, let's be nosy. So
I
I
hear
decided
that.
to write. The other piece of this is that some of the most popular gay people that are sexualized in our community, I had experiences with. But there's a catch. There's sex workers. So then that goes into a whole nother realm of what it means to be a sex worker and dealing with people that are paying for sex and their mental health, and then what it means for the person that's paying for it to deal with the sex worker and having to deal with their trauma.
Okay.
But of course, Faith knows that with that because she also met me in a space where I was involved in the web reality world where people didn't take well to that because it's how are you spending your check because the assumption was you're this public figure and you're doing these things. But the reality of it is that half of y'all are jealous because I was doing what y'all wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
I'm not saying this to be a flex, but it's just you don't know my life. You're making an assumption
True.
of what you think you see.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
I
That's,
hear
yeah. So we definitely need a part two to this. We're definitely going to have to revisit.
that.
So yeah, so we can
I
have a
love
part two
this.
to this.
This is very enlightening. Very informative. And again, thank y'all so much. Any final
No
words?
problem. Um, thanks for this is cool, man.
Yeah, right?
This is cool. Thanks for inviting me, and told it was nice kicking it with you, man.
Thank you.
No
Um,
problem.
Again, I want to give a special shout out to Faith because you are the one of the first people to ask me to be on the on your platform, and I'm thankful for being able to give the opportunity to be given that space.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Secondly,
Thanks a lot, cause this is my
Mhm.
so far. This is my first and only invite to anybody's platform. So, and the fact that we're family is like, okay, cool.
Absolutely.
It just brings it home that much more.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, y'all be back, so don't worries. Hopefully,
All
like,
right, cool. Thanks, man.
yeah, because this is the type of dialogue, this type of engagement that I want. I love it. I love it.
All right. I'm right. I'm with it.
Yes. Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you with it. Okay, that's all I need to know.
of course, I'm with it too.
All
See,
Okay.
right now.
All right now.
this is a different side of me that most people don't get to see. Cause
Right.
you
I
know,
told you it's a safe space.
yeah,
Mhm.
you know that other side. It can go one way
Yeah.
or the other.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right, you guys. But I thank you so much. I don't want to hold you guys up. We have been there for like over an hour and a half, so it don't seem like it. But
I know, right? Because
yeah.
right now, right about now, I'm gonna grab me something to eat and get ready to work. Cause I work at night. So
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, definitely. But I thank you for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate
my
this.
pleasure, cuz. Thanks for
My
inviting me,
pleasure.
man.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Love you.
Love you too.
All right. Yes, you guys, another one. Here's another one. Thank you so much. I hope that I'll be getting some comments and some shares and some subscriptions and some views on this. This is a topic that I know that it might hit home for some, and it may be, maybe touchy for others, but the conversation needs to be had. And I really appreciate Rich and Tony for coming on and taking the time to share their stories, share their transparency, and share whatever it is that's within their heart and within their mind and what they have to experience from day to day, based on interactions with various walks of life. So I do appreciate them for being a part of my platform. So I'm going to have this uploaded in the next a few minutes. Just give me some time to edit it a little bit. And I hope to see you guys soon again. Have a good